Hands up. Step out of the tent now. The shout tore through the stillness of the night, jolting me awake as flashlight beams pierced the thin nylon of my tent. My heart pounded, not from fear, but from disbelief. I was camping beside the lake on my own land, a quiet patch my grandfather had bought over 60 years ago. And yet, here I was, treated like a criminal. My 10-year-old son, Ethan, stirred beside me, his eyes wide with confusion. I put a finger to my lips, signaling him to stay calm, and unzipped the tent to face whatever circus waited outside. 2 uniformed cops stood, in the moonlight, hands hovering near their holsters. Behind them, arms crossed and face painted with smug satisfaction, stood Margaret Holbrook, the HOA president from hell. She waved a stack of papers like they were holy scripture. "This land belongs to the HOA, Mr. Daniel Blake," she sneered, spitting my name like it was poison. "You're trespassing. Arrest him." The officers hesitated, glancing at each other. They knew me, Deputy Carson and Deputy Vega. I was their boss. I was the county sheriff. But Margaret didn't know that. "Evening, officers," I said calmly. "Mind telling me why you're on my property at 2 in the morning?" Carson scratched his neck. "Sheriff. Daniel, we got a call about an intruder. Mrs. Holbrook here says this plot's HOA controlled." Margaret's grin widened. "He's no sheriff here. He's a squatter, and he's endangering our community." Neighbors peeked out from the shadows, drawn by the noise. I could feel Ethan trembling. Behind me. That did it. I wasn't about to let this woman humiliate me in front of my son. "Margaret," I said evenly, "you sure you want to play this game?" She thrust her papers toward me. "These are notarized," she barked. But even from a distance, I could tell they were fake, sloppy signatures, incorrect seals. I could have flashed my badge and ended it right there, but I wanted her to dig her own grave. "This land's been in my family since 1964, I said, "long before your HOA existed. But go ahead, check the records." The deputies exchanged uncertain glances. Margaret blustered, louder, typing furiously on her phone, probably drafting her victory post for the HOA Facebook group. I stayed calm. I had the truth and patience. When the cops finally left, Margaret smirked, convinced she'd won. I looked her in the eye and said quietly, "Keep smiling, Margaret. You're about to find out what happens when you pick a fight with the wrong man." By sunrise, her Facebook post had exploded, thousands of views, hundreds of comments. She called me a dangerous squatter who dragged his kid into a hostile occupation. People I'd known for years were suddenly calling me a menace. Ethan sat beside me by the lake, kicking pebbles into the water. "Dad, are we in trouble?" he asked. "Not a chance, buddy," I told him. "Your dad's got a plan." I opened my tackle box and pulled out an old leather ledger, my grandfather's. Inside was the original deed from 1964, notarized and clear as day. It wasn't just paper. It was proof of our legacy. I texted a photo of it to Nate Reynolds, an old friend and lawyer. His reply came fast. "Daniel, this deed is airtight. Her documents are forgeries. You've got her." I smiled. Time to fight back. I posted the photo on the same HOA page where she'd slandered me, captioned, "This land belongs to my family. Here's the proof." Within minutes, the comments section was a battlefield. Some still sided with her, but cracks began to show. That's when her lawyer, Alan Peterson, emailed me, claiming my deed was outdated and the land had been reclassified under HOA jurisdiction in 1992. I forwarded it to Nate, who shot back, "Bluff. No record exists. Keep pushing." Meanwhile, my friend Emma Lewis, who'd known my grandfather, texted, "Daniel, I've got something on Margaret. Call me." When we spoke, she revealed that Margaret had once been sued for forging a deed 10 years ago and had settled quietly using HOA funds. My pulse raced. Margaret wasn't just power-hungry, she was a career con artist. That night, I called a town meeting at the lakeside. Dozens showed up, some skeptical, others curious. I presented the original deed on a projector, along with a recording of one of my deputies admitting Margaret had pressured them to act without verifying her claims. Then, for good measure, I played a video Ethan had taken a week earlier of Margaret screaming at a neighbor, calling them leeches. The crowd stirred. Whispers turned to murmurs. Doubt spread like wildfire. Margaret stood up, shrieking, "This is a witch hunt." I didn't respond. I simply played one more clip, A secret recording I'd made weeks earlier at the community center, where she bragged to me, thinking I had no proof. I forged that deed, Daniel. That lake's mine, and you're too weak to stop me. The room fell silent. Her lawyer paled. Then gasps erupted, followed by shouting. And just then, the doors opened. Lisa Monroe, my FBI contact, strode in with 2 agents. Margaret Holbrook, you're under arrest for fraud, forgery, and embezzlement, Lisa said. The crowd broke into chaos as Margaret screamed, tripping over a chair and scattering her fake papers everywhere. Ethan grinned for the first time in days. Justice had a sense of humor. After her arrest, the local paper ran the story. HOA president arrested in fraud scandal, Sheriff Blake exonerated. Neighbors apologized, casseroles arrived, and for a moment, peace returned. But Lisa's words lingered. Daniel, the Cayman accounts we found aren't just hers. We've tracked similar transactions in 12 other HOAs. She was part of something bigger. A chill ran down my spine. This wasn't just a local grudge, it was a network. Weeks passed. I reopened the lake to the public, just like my grandfather wanted. Families came to fish, laugh, and heal. Ethan smiled again, his laughter echoing across the water. Then one morning, a text buzzed on my phone. You're next, Sheriff. I ignored it at first. But the next week, Ethan's school called. Someone had tried to pick him up, claiming to be my brother. I didn't have one. I raced there, heart pounding, and found him safe, thanks to his teacher's quick thinking. But that was it. The line had been crossed. I called Lisa. I'm going undercover, I told her. Daniel, that's dangerous, she warned. So is threatening my son. That night, I sat by the fire, Ethan asleep beside me, and stared at the lake, the same lake my grandfather swore to protect. I thought of Margaret's smug face, of the judge who'd mentored me, Judge Morrison, who'd later called to confess his involvement. He'd laughed on the phone, saying, Karen was sloppy. You were useful, but some secrets, son, are worth killing for. That was the moment I realized I wasn't just fighting corruption. I was hunting it. A month later, we held another community gathering, but this time, it wasn't about my land. Representatives from a dozen neighborhoods came forward, each with stories of deceit, phony fees, forged documents, elderly couples losing homes. I stood before them and said, they picked us off one by one. No more. This time, we fight together. Emma started a legal aid fund. Hank, the retired HOA treasurer, trained residents to spot fraud. Ethan, my little detective, began teaching other kids how to record HOA meetings safely. That night, as the crowd dispersed, Emma sat beside me on the dock. Your grandfather would be proud, she said. Softly. Maybe, I said, gazing at the lake. But this isn't over. She touched my hand. When it is, then we build something better, I said. Together. She smiled, and for the first time, since that awful night, I felt something beyond anger. Hope. Maybe even love. It's been 6 months since Margaret's arrest. The FBI case spread statewide, exposing judges, lawyers, and HOA presidents in a corruption ring stretching across 3 counties. Morrison fled, but his time's coming. I still get anonymous messages now and then, empty threats. But they don't scare me. I look out at the lake every morning, coffee in hand, while Ethan skips rocks across the water. His laughter reminds me what I'm fighting for. This land, my land, is still ours. My grandfather's. Promise lives on, not just in me, but in every family that refuses to bow to bullies hiding behind paperwork and power. They thought they could take my home. Instead, they gave me a mission. And as long as I'm breathing, I'll protect it with badge, blood, and truth.